How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be continuing my Sharks of Summer series. Sharks of Summer is a series I do around here where once a week, at least once a week, I take a look at a shark movie. If you're watching this the day it came out, though, this should be right around the 4th of July, maybe even the day of. And I realized I didn't really have any 4th of July movies that I wanted to cover. But how about this? For the week of 4th of July, we'll cover Red Water, Great White, and Blue Demon. That should be pretty fun, right? Red, white, and blue? I don't know. It's something. Why not, right? But anyway, Red Water. This is from 2003, and I believe there is actually another shark movie called Red Water. I think it's a much more recent film, and it's like an Asian film. This is an American made-for-TV movie, so that's the one we're talking about this time. Maybe I'll get to the other one later. This one is directed by Charles Robert Carner and stars Lou Diamond Phillips, Kristy Swanson, and Coolio. And if we look at the bottom, fear strikes where you least expect it. What does that really mean in the context of this movie? This movie takes place on an oil rig. I don't know if that's where I would least suspect horror to strike. I mean, I wouldn't immediately guess that. I would guess like a haunted house or something, but that's just a super generic tagline that has nothing to do with anything, but probably kind of sets the mood for this movie. This movie, it's not bad, but it's kind of just aggressively okay. You know, there's nothing that really stands out, nothing too memorable. It just kind of chugs along, and I think, you know, this is 2003, so 20 years ago. A lot of modern shark movies, especially in the post-Sharknado world, there are a lot of times these big, goofy affairs where, yeah, they're not great, and technically this is probably better, but, you know, modern shark movies, you get a three-headed shark attacking Danny Trejo. Pretty stupid but entertaining. Here, it's just, again, kind of meh and forgettable, which is kind of sad. And there are a few major problems. First of all, the characters in this movie. They're very underdeveloped. Some of them are given interesting backgrounds or traits, but they're really only mentioned a few times in the film, and none of the characters are super charismatic. For example, the lead of the film, they kind of write him a little bit like he's supposed to be like kind of a bad boy, but he comes across as more like a high school history teacher. And like the villains, there's no Hans Gruber here, let me tell you that. The villains are just annoying, which leads me into the second fatal flaw of this film. Human villains. Yeah, more than the shark, we're dealing with these gangster characters. These gangster characters that are just kind of bleh, you know, a little bit dumb and annoying. But if you guys know shark movies with human villains, that is a trope that I don't like just because of how it gets used. The whole idea with human villains in a shark movie is that sharks are a special effect, and in turn, they're expensive. We can't have them on screen a lot. If we put in human villains, humans are cheap, and we can talk to them and tell them how to do their role, and, you know, it's a lot easier than a trained shark or anything like that. So, humans in a shark movie are typically just there because they're a cheaper and easier bad guy, and the shark does get kind of pushed in the background of this movie. I don't like that. It's a made-for-TV movie, so the kills aren't super spectacular either, and the shark, like, you go a while kind of forgetting he's there, you know, so, yeah, there are some letdown moments. But overall, again, it's made well enough. It's just not good sharks, not good people. Kind of comes out just like, it chugs along, I guess let's talk about the plot in order to analyze this in more specific terms. I won't be doing major spoilers, but I will take a look at primarily the setup in order to see what does or more often doesn't work in this movie. So let's take a moment to analyze. We open up with some drilling being done on the river, and kind of strangely in this film, they kind of alternate between talking about oil and natural gas. Those are different things, but they seem to, in one part of the movie, talk about gas, and then they switch it to oil kind of flippantly, But anyway, they're drilling, and that will disturb the shark. The shark is awoken. I guess he was just sleeping. I don't know. He's awake, and he's gonna start killing people pretty darn quick. And again, like I said, made for TV kills, not super spectacular. I think there are a few shots with a puppet shark, so yeah, there's something, but not great shark kills. But boy, does he get out working early. But that being said, the legend behind this shark is that he's the guardian spirit of this lagoon where the mining is taking place in. Which again leads to inconsistencies, because you'll get like towards the end of the movie where they jump back and forth, even the heroes, between "die you stupid shark" and then "he's a humble guardian of the lagoon. He's a beautiful piece of nature." And I'm like, wait, 2 seconds ago you were saying "die stupid shark." Inconsistent there as to whether he's a good or a bad shark. Just wish he was in the movie a little longer. But anyway, we jump to our main character, and he's having money problems. He runs this small fishing boat, but he's been late on several payments because fishing is seasonal. Which you should really factor in seasonality when setting up your business, and it's something you knew was going to happen. You really needed to make a better plan for, but whatever. Seriously, running a business is hard, I get it, but he's missed so many payments, he needs money, so when his ex-wife shows up with a job, he doesn't want to take it, but kind of has to. Basically, she works for the oil company from before, and there's a tragic backstory. There was an accident on the oil rig he worked at. It wasn't his fault, but people died, and he blames himself for that. And he split up with his wife, who stayed working there, and in turn got greedier because of all the big money. Remember, guys, sharks hate big business because Jaws said so, right? Anyway, this whole thing about him carrying that grief and her giving too much into greed and the two of them maybe getting back together, it's a dramatic setup, but barely touched on in the film, You kind of hint that there's supposed to be like a romance story with these two getting back together. Not super dwelled on very long at all, so one of the movie's forgotten subplots. But anyway, he goes down there, they start to work on the drill, and that's where we get the B team of characters. These gangsters. You see, 5 years ago, there was this guy who was moving money for his boss. $13 million. When the police catch him, he dumps the money overboard into the lagoon and doesn't give it over. So now that he's out of prison, the gangster is going to take two of his guys to go get that guy and go find the $13 million at the bottom of the lagoon. And the two gangsters he sends, one of them got bitten by a shark once. Didn't lose a hand, didn't die, he just has a shark bite. And now he wants to kill all sharks. Nope, okay then I guess. Again, much like the romance from earlier, him having sharks as like an arch nemesis and wanting to kill them all, this could be like the over-the-top motivation of a Disney villain. But even though this movie features a shark, barely comes up. Whatever. The big boss also sends someone who I think is like his nephew or something, and this guy's there to make irrational decisions and jeopardize the mission. For real, without this guy, it would have all gone swimmingly. Anyway, the people on the oil rig notice them diving pretty close by and don't really do anything until they eventually get in a confrontation, and these three random little gangsters take over the whole oil rig. I know that's the plot of the movie, but boy is it super implausible. They tell you at the beginning just how much money they're sitting on with this rig, but let me explain something. Big oil, big money equals big security. I found it unbelievable that they were able to just start diving so close to this oil rig without being chased off. But the fact that there's like 6 or so people on this oil rig and 3 random people are able to take over the whole facility was no one there. I mean, for real, if they had one guy there working security, this whole thing could have been prevented, but no. So just 3 random little people take over the whole thing? Yeah, it's implausible, but now it becomes a hostage situation. And you know the drill. The red shirts on the oil rig are gonna die, things are going to explode, and every now and then we remember that we're in a shark movie. Poor shark. Yeah, I'd rather have it be all about him than the gangsters. And it's one of those that you get to the end and you're like, okay, it feels like this movie's been going on for a while, but I don't really remember too many interesting things or big stuff happening, you know? You do something as tight as a hostage situation, you really gotta ride it tight, but there are several times where the characters really could have gotten away, you know, and it's just a so-so meh, forgettable hostage movie with a tiny bit of the shark, and there's so many things, you know, like the romance or the revenge plot against the sharks. So many things that could have been interesting character moments that don't get built up or expanded upon. Another good example is this movie takes place in Louisiana, and as they're going up the river, they stop to meet his first mate's family. And there, we get bits of Louisiana culture. We get to see all these other characters. We find out the legend about the shark being a protective spirit. Interesting stuff about Louisiana. And they do it for their one scene and forget about it for the rest of the movie. This should have been baked in Louisiana culture. I mean, the whole movie should have been. But no, we're gonna do it for one scene out of obligation and then push it on. And when this movie gets to the little oil refinery and a little locked-in lagoon with 2 boats and that's your whole set, it is essentially kind of confined when this could have been a whole big river movie, you know? Now, confined action can work and, you know, hostage action can work, but it's just one that just kind of fell meh. You know, it kind of just didn't do anything. And this may be budget and time because, like I said, I'm pretty sure this was a made-for-TV movie, so it's probably just cranked out and not thought about too much. Probably just a little bit too factory for its own good. And again, I don't want to say it's a terrible movie, it just doesn't really have much going for it. It's well enough made, totally watchable, but no interesting characters, not enough sharks, and replacing the shark movie with an underdeveloped hostage situation movie, just not really good. And I mean, okay, I've complained about the shark not being there a few times. He is there. It's just, he's not the primary antagonist. It's these gangster characters, and that just bugged me. I wish the focus, even if not the physical presence, I wish the focus was on the shark, but maybe that's just me. If you guys like this movie, let me know. Like, it came out 20 years ago, so maybe some of you who looked this up watched it as kids and really liked it back then. It's, like I said, kind of aggressively okay. Not terrible, but not great either. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my shark movies playlist. I've talked about a ton of shark movies. Jaws, Sharknado, Deep Blue Sea, Open Water, The Meg. If you want to see me talk about more shark movies, I've talked about a lot, and the playlist should pop up in a second. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.